Don't take things personally. I think I spoke about my guiltometer. That's the internal measure inside of me that says, oh, I did something wrong, and now let me feel guilty about it, and hate myself a little bit, and repent, and eventually hear, okay, that was enough guilt. Now I can breathe again and go on. I've gotten pretty good about controlling my guiltometer. I don't let guilt show up too often. But during this time, the number of people who used guilt to try to dissuade me from suicide was amazing. Okay, first of all, let me get you inside my mind. All right, someone who is suicidal already feels like they've let the world down at some level. They've let themselves down, they've let the world down. Their choices are not about you. I said in my previous videos, it's not about you. And it really isn't. But the number of people who said to me, oh my God, if you had killed yourself, do you know what that would have done to me? How could you even think that? Why would you abandon me? Or why didn't you reach out to me? I had several people who have never spoken to me on the phone, never had any communication other than, the professional context in which I saw them. And they said, well, why didn't you reach out to me? I'm always here for you. And it was as if there was a personal affront that I had not used them, I had not trusted them. If I didn't reach out to my closest and dearest friends, I'm probably not going to reach out to people who are further out in my social sphere. But that doesn't mean it's about you. It's about me. It's about my trust levels. Okay, I also, as I said, I thought about my children when I was thinking about suicide, and I knew that they'd be safe. I didn't really want to abandon them, and I thought about the things that my daughters and son would have to go through. But not a single one of my children guilted me. Not a single one of them said, Mom, I don't know what I'd do without you. You know what they said? And my children, I'm so proud of you and so amazingly blessed. They all said, okay, Mom, we're here for you. What do you need? None of them said, don't go, don't leave me. And they could have. Those that were most able to guilt me would be my children. And instead, they held the truth with me that if it was truly my end, they loved me enough to want for me what I wanted for me. So don't take things personally, and don't guilt people because they didn't reach out to you. Don't make it about you and about the consequences you'd experience. What can you do instead? Reevaluate how you've shown up in that person's life. If that person didn't reach out to you, well, that's probably because that person didn't feel they could reach out to you. So what can you do instead? Instead of making it personal, as in how that person thought about you, how about making a personal effort? If you really love that person and you really want to be there the next time, and you want that person to trust you and to reach out, reach to them. Carry them through their healing time. Interestingly, I had a beautiful woman who I barely know. Met her through a group that we have been connecting over the course of several months. And she was the most magnificent supporter. Never once spoken to her on the phone. I've now had a couple of letters from her. And what did she do? She reached out with some specific practical help. She said, I can help you this way. Would this work? And I'm like, wow, I hadn't even thought of that. That is amazing. Yes, thank you. I will receive that. And she has followed through each step. And what she does is she follows through, and she does so with encouragement of what the next step is. And then she follows through what the next step is. And she's going through some amazing transitions in her own life. So it's not like her life is easy and she's sitting around doing nothing and she can just reach out and help me. But she took it as personal effort to say, whoa, CeeJay, I want to keep you on the planet here. How do I turn around and help you? So how do I look at what you personally need rather than how your action reflects on me?
Don't take things personally. Guilt isn't a healing antidote to suicide. It doesn't help to remind suicidal friends what it would do to you if they chose to leave. That just increases the pressure and can add self-loathing to the mix. Do take personal responsibility. If someone is important to you, make the efforts over time to let them know. Recognize that every individual has the right to live life as he or she wishes. When you show up authentically in relation to your friends, you have done your part. The rest is up to them.
Do not assume trust and do not assume closeness. And this is number 6. And I spoke to this, I alluded to this a couple of times. But let's look at the reality of someone who's gotten to be suicidal. They have probably reached out before. The attempt at suicide or the mention of feeling suicidal is not the first time that person reached out. Maybe that person has reached out and invited you to have dinner or coffee or tried to connect with you through an instant message on Facebook. Maybe that person has shown up for you in ways and you weren't really interested. Or maybe that person really wanted more than anything to just be part of a group and maybe was on the fringes of that group. And maybe you were in that group. So when this person came forward and said, oh, hey, look, I'm feeling suicidal, all of a sudden, if you say, well, you should have reached out to me, you know that I'm always here, or you could have counted on our group, there's probably a reason that person did not feel he or she could count on your group. Okay, again, back to Robin Williams. How many people on the planet would say, Robin, I am here for you? Well, he didn't choose to stay for whatever reason. And that doesn't mean that those people didn't love him, but it does mean that for some reason he was not connected to them. So instead of assuming trust and assuming security, right? I said earlier, people who are suicidal are really at their lowest levels of trust and their lowest levels of security with life. Much like, don't take it personally. Don't assume. Don't assume someone knows that you're there for them. Reach out to your loved ones. If you haven't heard from them in a while, send them a note. Say, hey, just reminding you I'm here. And I have a girlfriend that I only get to see every few months because we're so busy. But she'll come onto my mind and I send the text, hey, you, thinking about you, love you. And she'll send me a text back about as short. And then I know that if at 2 o'clock in the morning something comes up and she could help, I can pick up the phone and I can call her. Do your friends know that that's the type of friend you are? And if it's not the type of friend you are, that's okay. That's all right. Don't assume anything that you aren't. If you're in the middle of your own challenges, don't overextend yourself to all the friends around you, because you'll exhaust yourself and we'll be turning around and saying, hey, honey, talk to us, right? And trying to pull you out of your own depression and suicidality. So don't extend yourself farther than you can. But if someone truly is someone you admire, someone you would like to have an ongoing relationship with, let them know. Find ways to connect. I think that in our culture we've become more and more disconnected. So instead of assuming trust and security, how about we create trust and security through vulnerable connections over time? So you found out someone was suicidal. How are you reaching out to them? Remember, in my previous video, I also said that those who have loved ones who have died by suicide or by other means as well become increasingly more suicidal. How have you reached out to them to be a resource to them? Right about the same time that I posted my videos about being suicidal, a friend and colleague committed suicide. I don't know his sphere, his circle of friends, so I don't really know how to reach out to them and be available. But I am praying that his wife and his other colleagues and friends that are closer into that sphere, that each of them is making a concerted effort to build trust and security for those that are behind in creating a physical, mental, emotional, social, and spiritual connection, making sure they have everything they need physically, making sure that mentally they have a way to deal with all the thoughts going on in their mind. Emotionally, how are they expressing and getting those emotions and those feelings out? Because suppression just means that there could be a volcanic result later. Socially, do they need to be left alone? Do they need to be embraced? Do they need to come to events? Do they need to have one-on-ones? What best serves them? Are we asking those questions? Spiritually, what is it that I can do for you? Can I pray for you? Can I speak truth with you? How can I support your spiritual path and your journey through this? Right? Become the gifter of trust and security rather than assuming.
Don't assume trust and closeness. At times of crisis, avoid coming out of the closet like a superhero here to save the day. Suicidal friends have low levels of trust, security, and tend to be more selective who they choose to confide in. Do build friendship. Honor the current relationship level that is already in place. If trust and closeness has not been previously established, allow time for it to develop. Make concerted efforts to express your desire for connection without creating an expectation that the other return the gesture.
And I think the last one is, don't assume the person who's suicidal needs to be fixed. They don't have to be fixed. It was interesting for me, the number of people who were trying to offer me their fix for life. Rather than listening to me. Some of them it was, proselytization. They were really trying to convert me to their belief system. And if you just did this, I was raised in Christianity, and now my belief system has morphed in a lot of ways, but one of the things that I heard over the course while I've been healing was, if you just return to Jesus. Well, the assumption there was that my spiritual life needed to be fixed. If you prayed more, that would fix it. At the time when I found myself at the bottom, I couldn't have been praying more. I was in 24/7 dialogue with the divine. I have such an intimate love relationship with the divine. I love Jesus passionately. I don't have the same views as many in Christianity about Jesus, but I love Jesus passionately, right? That was one of the fixes. Pray more, come to Jesus, or meditate more. I also had that. You need to meditate more, and those were things that I was already doing. What was going on for me was different than that, right? Another fix was, you just need to think, and then ... You just need to think more positively, which would bring the assumption that I'm thinking negatively. Okay, yeah, I'm feeling suicidal. Absolutely. In this moment, I'm thinking suicidal. But telling me to just think positive isn't going to help me, because obviously if I was doing that, if I could do that in this moment, then I would. Maybe what I need right now isn't to think positive, but to fully process what I'm thinking, to have an ear that doesn't want to fix me, but actually wants to embrace me right where I am and carry me and support me through the process. So rather than looking for that one thing that was the trigger that broke me, or that broke the person in your life who's feeling suicidal, first of all, see my perfection. I'm not broken. That loved one of yours, not broken. I wasn't spiritually broken. I wasn't even psychologically broken. Yes, I was weak, I was tired, I was exhausted. And there were things that could definitely help me. But if you came to someone you love from a place of let me fix it, that person is going to automatically become defensive. Please don't try to fix me. I don't need to be fixed. There's nothing wrong with me, right? Why would we say that? You know, I'm suicidal. Why would I say there's nothing wrong with me? Because there's somebody coming in with their psychological screwdriver trying to find what it is, how they can adjust me. And I just need an ear. I just need someone to listen. I just need someone who can speak truth to me. I need someone who can be a support. Who can let me rest a little while. Let me rest spiritually, emotionally, psychologically, physically, whatever it is, right? Someone who will connect with me from soul to soul, heart to heart. Someone who will look in my eyes. As I said about snake oil, right? There isn't a quick fix. I'll say on the other end of this, I'm not broken. Don't look at the people who are in your lives as broken, because they already have that sense of being broken. They need someone to see them as the magnificence of who they are. I heard this amazing story once about an old tradition with china cups, that in this ancient tradition, what they would do is when a cup broke, they would seal the cup, the broken piece, on with gold. The more the cup broke and was sealed with gold, the more magnificent the cup became, the more ornate, the more valuable. The light would shine through, giving it this illuminated look. And the broken pieces of that cup that were held together with the gold, with the true bonding. You know, gold represents the highest standard, right? It represents love. And so those cups, you know, I could get a brand new cup that had no breaks in it. It hasn't even been chipped. But it would not have as much character, as much story in it, as much love, as much strength as this cup that has been broken many times, but sealed with this gold, with love. Right? Hold that knowing of your friends who are on the suicidal path. Know that if you can help bond them with love, bond them with truth, show the magnificence that they're not broken. They are on their way to becoming heirlooms, treasures, jewels beyond measure, right? Gifts of the greatest value. That this is just a part of their character building. They're not broken. They don't need to be fixed in the sense of, you know, you're worthless, you know, let me take you out of that hole. But instead they need to be honored and say, wow, look at this broken part that belongs on this cup. Both pieces are so valuable. Let's bond them back together. All right. Wow, so there you go. 7 things not to do to help your suicidal friends. So let me go through those again off the top. 1, don't sell them snake oil. There isn't an instant fix. Okay, there isn't an instant fix. Don't sell them snake oil because they're very gullible right now. Don't try to use your friends. Don't try to make a profit. Right? 2nd, keep your war stories at home and bring your love stories. Right? No war stories. They don't need to hear how horrible your life is and why you've thought about suicide when they're in the middle of dealing with their own traumas. Don't give global platitudes. It'll all be okay. If I can do anything for you, right? If you aren't going to do anything, be practical. Oh, I'm going to lift you in prayer, and I really strongly believe in the value of prayer, so I will give you my prayer. Oh, my arms are available to hug you anytime you need a hug. Let me bring some cookies to you and help you eat them over a cup of tea, right? Practical. How can I be there with you? Do not devalue the person's value or status, right? Don't see this momentary lapse in their path as making them lesser than what they are. And certainly don't tell them you think it makes them lesser, right? Instead, value the magnificence of who they are. Don't take things personally. Number 5, don't take things personally. It's not about you. Take personal responsibility, though. If you want them to call you next time, build the relationship now. Okay, but don't take it personally. It's not about you. Don't assume trust and closeness. Right? Don't assume that they're going to feel safe to come to you or that they're going to feel safe going to a resource, right? Don't assume that they should just trust you because you trust you, right? Allow time and take actions that will build trust and security. And finally, don't assume they need to be fixed. Don't get out your psychological screwdrivers. You know, I have cement walls in my new place. I had a friend trying to come in and drill holes in the wall with his drill for me. And it was a challenge. And we only got a few little pieces in. Why? Because the cement didn't need to be fixed. The cement was solid, right? See your friends as that solidness. They are solid. They don't need to be fixed. They need to be bonded with, right? Be that gold in the treasure. I love you, loved ones. I pray that this journey toward health and my sharing vulnerably about where I've been will help you to know how better to reach out to your friends. If you want to know more about what I do and who I am, you can check out my website, ceejay.adams, cjadams.com, or you can look up my videos on YouTube. More than anything, though, know that there is help and reach out for it. Until the next time, be blessed and celebrate your magnificence.